My girlfriend Kelly was still having an affair with her first love Robert, while at the same time preparing to get engaged to me. Actually, Kelly doesn't know, but I knew she cheated a long time ago. Kelly's first love told me this. The story is about to begin. If you like it, remember to like and follow. I sat on the sofa and watched the makeup artist put on Kelly's makeup. My heart is filled with satisfaction, knowing that the woman in front of me will soon become my wife. Kelly, however, seemed a little absent-minded. He looked at his phone expressionlessly. The next moment, Kelly stood up suddenly. My friend Andy and I were so shocked that we didn't react for a long time. She looked panic-stricken, as if the sky had fallen. Ignoring my inquiries, Kelly rushed into the dressing room and changed out of her gown. While putting on her shoes, she said that today's engagement was cancelled and would be made up later. After saying that, he ran out without looking back, without even looking at me. Thinking that the elders and guests from both sides have already arrived, I don't want and can't let her ruin the day. I chased her to the parking lot and stopped her, pleading in my tone, "Kelly, no matter what, let's finish the ceremony first, okay?" The words were full of humility. "I have something urgent to do right now, can't we make up for the ceremony later?" Seeing that I was still standing in front of her, she looked grim. Suddenly, he became a different person, with a cold attitude. "Robert was in a car accident. I have to go to the hospital." Andy and I both froze in place. "Robert returned to China?" "I don't know, and neither does Andy." Kelly knew. I gritted my teeth and said, "You have already accepted my proposal and put on the ring I gave you. Am I still not as important as Robert? He's already in the hospital. How can you be so cold-blooded?" After saying that, she got into the car. I tried to hold her hand. But she took off the ring on her hand without hesitation, threw it hard, and the ring fell directly into the fountain. "I'll give it back to you." After saying that, she started the engine and sped away. My hand was scratched by the car window and a layer of skin was peeled off. The blood couldn't stop flowing out. I turned my head to look at the place where the ring fell, and it felt like something in my heart was broken. The ring I designed myself is worthless in her heart. Just like me, she doesn't care. 3 years ago, Kelly confessed her love to me. She said since we are both single, we might as well try to be together. I was both nervous and excited. She doesn't know that I have actually liked her for many years. But before, Robert was the only one in her heart and eyes. I thought she finally saw the good in me. I agreed to her without hesitation. Over the past 3 years, I have been consistent with her and have loved her with all my heart. I can also feel the change in her attitude towards me. From being respectful at the beginning to being dependent and trusting later. I thought I had melted her iceberg. I thought there was nothing between us. But in the end, as long as Robert is around, I will never be first in line. I remember the first year we got together, Kelly was celebrating my birthday with me. As soon as she lit the candles, her phone rang. She glanced at the phone, stood up and walked to the balcony. After coming out, she said her friend had an emergency and she had to go over to help. I have always been obedient to her. But I still tried to ask her to stay, but she left without looking back. Actually, I know the person who called her was Robert. Because Robert sent me a WeChat message. He said, "Happy birthday, I'm giving you a present, you're welcome." When I saw the WeChat message, I felt a little uneasy. It turns out that the gift he was talking about was to prevent Kelly from celebrating my birthday with me. Later I saw the photos Robert posted on WeChat Moments. They went to Iceland together to see the northern lights. Kelly stood next to Robert. Although the two of them did not do anything intimate, they were surprisingly well matched. I even wondered if I was redundant. My birthday wish that day was for someone to choose me unwaveringly. Even though I knew she was going to see Robert, I still deceived myself. I feel that since Kelly is with me, she will forget Robert sooner or later. When Kelly came back, she confessed to me that she had gone to see Robert. She said that was her obsession when she was young. She just wants to live up to her youth. She assured me that she and Robert had not crossed any line and had not done anything to offend me. At that time, I had finally been together with the person I had secretly loved for many years, so how could I bear to let go? I chose to believe her. Perhaps from that moment on, I was destined to be her second choice. Kelly, Andy, and Robert and I were college classmates. So Andy and I know more about Kelly and Robert than anyone else. Andy has always been against Kelly and I being together. He said Kelly was once completely controlled by Robert. What if Robert gets tired of playing abroad one day and comes back to find Kelly? He said, what if Kelly can't let go of Robert? I said I believed Kelly. But my heart was beating fast. After all, I also know what Kelly has done for Robert. Andy and I were roommates in college. Robert lives in the dormitory opposite ours. We often play ball and games together. Later he began to pursue Kelly. Robert comes from a poor family, but he is a nice-looking guy. The handsome and cool face is the type that all the girls like. His approach to pursuing Kelly was bold and direct. He blocked the door of Kelly's classroom and confessed his love to her. He shouted loudly downstairs of Kelly's dormitory that he only loved Kelly in his life. Once at the school gate, a drunk saw Kelly and started to flirt with her in a filthy way. Kelly was so angry that she cursed at the drunkard. The drunk held on to Kelly's arm and refused to let go. Robert happened to pass by, picked up a brick on the ground and threw it at the drunk. Finally the drunk was admitted to the hospital. Because he was in the wrong, he only asked Robert to pay the medical bills. But Robert got the beauty that night. He is with Kelly. At that time I just had a slight crush on Kelly. It's a pity for them to be together. Kelly, such a wonderful girl, shouldn't be with Robert. Because I know Robert is also flirting with girls from other departments. Not only do I know this, but all the boys know it. I'm not sure Kelly knows Robert either. But I still wish Kelly happiness in my heart. Until one mid-autumn festival, Andy and I returned to school after dinner. I just happened to see Kelly coming out of the cafeteria alone. Upon asking, I found out that she and Robert had originally agreed to celebrate the holiday together, but Robert caught a cold and was taking medicine and sleeping in the dormitory. She picked up the food in her hand and asked me to help pass it to Robert. Looking at her face full of worry and heartache, I felt mixed emotions. Because I know Robert is not in the dormitory. Before he left, he ran to our dormitory and sprayed his hair with Andy's hairspray. A bunch of us teased him. He said that if you want to date a young girl, you have to be decent. After returning to the dormitory, I went across the street to find Robert. His roommate said Robert went out with girlfriend number 2. Seeing my confused look, his roommate explained to me with a smile. It is said that Kelly is Robert's number 1 girlfriend, and number 2 girlfriend is the beauty from the music college next door. I didn't tell Kelly the truth. That night I called Robert and told him Kelly asked me to bring him some food. He smiled nonchalantly and told me to be a good person and never tell Kelly that he was not in the dormitory. He said he was inconvenienced by exercise and hung up the phone. I could hear some clues from his uneven breathing and the girl's weak cries on the other end of the phone. I feel a little sorry for Kelly. Prepare to remind her. But before I could say anything, the beauty in the music school, Robert's second girlfriend, took the initiative to find Kelly. The 2 girls had a huge fight over Robert. Finally they let Robert make his own choice, and Robert chose Kelly. He said he was possessed by a ghost. It's all the fault of that pretty girl from the music conservatory. She's a vixen and she seduced him. Sent him all kinds of sexy photos every day. He said he didn't like the school beauty. He swore that he only loved Kelly. Kelly believed it. She was even a little proud, she felt that she had won over the most beautiful girl in the school. But Robert's roommate complained to us that Robert said in the dormitory himself that he chose Kelly because Kelly came from a wealthy family. Although the school beauty is beautiful, she is from another place and has 2 younger brothers. Kelly is an only child and comes from a well-off family. Andy knew that I had some crush on Kelly. But he advised me not to tell Kelly about these things. Whether Kelly believes it or not is one thing. But if Kelly listens to Robert's good words again and they get back together, then I will be in a difficult position. He was keen on introducing girlfriends to me at that time. Just to make me forget Kelly. He even introduced his own sister Linda to me. I also only regard Linda as my sister. After all, I still have Kelly in my heart, and I can't waste her time. Kelly and Robert were entangled like this for many years. The year I graduated, Robert and I broke up completely. Because he had an affair with a female colleague from his internship company. He also got his female colleague pregnant. He asked us to borrow money. I was very angry. I was angry that he had let Kelly down and delayed Kelly's work. What he said at that time is still vivid in my mind. Kelly was lying on the bed like a dead fish, it was so boring. After Robert finished speaking, Andy noticed that my expression was not right and tried to hold me back. But Robert never stopped. He also said that Kelly was not as good at having fun as his colleague. He said he wanted Kelly to wear sexy pajamas but she refused, otherwise he couldn't be with anyone else. Before he could finish his next words, I knocked him down with one punch. I pushed Robert to the ground and punched him like crazy. Finally, it took several people pulling me away. Robert wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and spat on the ground. "Don't think I don't know you like Kelly. Let me tell you, even if I'm tired of her, she won't be with you as long as I don't break up." Andy said I was too impulsive, but I just regretted that I wasn't ruthless enough. Later Robert went abroad. Kelly said Robert was taken away by his sister, who had settled abroad. Later, I don't remember how long it was, Kelly asked me out for dinner. She said she and Robert broke up. I didn't ask why. She is very haggard. He drinks often and calls me when he is drunk. I'll pick her up and take her home. Never tire of it. Andy said I looked like the second male lead in a novel. Make silent contributions and get a good guy card in the end. I said he doesn't understand love, let alone secret crush. Andy and I got our work on track and opened a law firm. Andy laughed at me again and asked if I was prepared to be single for the rest of my life just for Kelly. He knew that many people had pursued me since college, but I rejected them all on the basis of my studies. It's the same after work. Sometimes it's my colleagues, sometimes it's my colleagues' friends, and sometimes it's clients who ask me if I'm single. But I still had Kelly in my heart, so I rejected them all. Until Kelly confessed to me. Andy blessed me and said he hoped I would be happy. But he still didn't like Kelly. I always think that time can heal everything. It can also make Kelly completely forget Robert and let her see clearly who is the one who truly loves her. I apologized to the guests attending the engagement party and canceled the engagement ceremony on the grounds that there was an emergency at the company. He smiled and told everyone that today should be regarded as a gathering of family and friends. Several childhood friends came to show their support and liven up the atmosphere. Andy was angry and wanted to call Kelly. I stopped it. I told him there was no point in doing anything now. Because I've given up. If Kelly can give up on me for Robert today, then it will be over between her and me. Andy said I should have given up long ago. Kelly and Robert are both heartless people. It was 2 days later that I saw Kelly again. She returned to the house where we had lived together for 3 years, looking tired. Seeing me sitting down on the sofa, she walked towards me. He squatted down in front of me and said, "I was wrong this time. Let's choose a new date and get engaged again." Then she wanted to hold my hand. Only then did she see my gauze-wrapped hand. "How did it happen? How did you get hurt?" His tone was full of concern, but I just found it ridiculous. I pulled my hand away silently. He looked her straight in the eyes and said word by word, "Kelly, let's break up." She was stunned for a moment. It looked like I was being unreasonable. "Gavin, what do you mean? You're breaking up with me just because of something like this?" She became more and more excited as she spoke, and her voice became louder and louder. Trying to decide right or wrong based on the volume of the volume. She doesn't know that I am very familiar with her angry and embarrassed look. I no longer suppress my anger. "It's just a small matter? Then what is a big matter? Tell me, what is a big matter? Is Robert's matter the only big matter? My tolerance towards you over the years has made you think I'm an idiot, right?" I said and stared at her. The expression on her face changed from anger to surprise, and finally to a hint of panic. In the 3 years we've been together, I've never lost my temper with Kelly. This is the first time. She covered her mouth, tears in her eyes, and her face was full of unacceptability. I had no mood to coax her, and even thought she looked a little ridiculous. I didn't want to waste my breath, so I looked up at her and said word by word, "Pack your things and move out of my house as soon as possible." She still looked at me in disbelief. I lit a cigarette and ignored her. She couldn't stop coughing because of the smell of smoke, but I didn't even look at her. Because she is sensitive to the smell of cigarettes, I quit smoking for her in the 3 years we have been together. She reached out to take my cigarette away. "Smoking is bad for your health." Before she could finish her words, I interrupted her. "Who are you to me? Why do you control me?" She didn't speak for a long time and finally said softly, "Okay, I'll go." Then she went into the room and packed her things. More than 10 minutes later, she pushed her suitcase towards the door. "Gavin, don't regret it." After saying that, she slammed the door and left. The world is finally quiet. I don't know when I fell asleep. When I was woken up by the phone ringing, I realized it was already noon the next day. It's Kelly's fucking phone. She said she had made my favorite fish soup and asked me to have some. I was about to find an excuse to refuse, but Kelly's mother said that if I didn't have time to go home, she would send it to me. I guess there's no way to avoid it. When we got to the Kelly family, both Kelly's dad and Kelly's mom were there. Kelly's mother handed me a freshly peeled apple with a loving look on her face. She kept asking me if Kelly was being willful and quarreling with me again. They know that I have always been tolerant of Kelly and never quarreled with her. Even if Kelly gets angry, I will be patient and coax her. The engagement was called off suddenly this time, and I never visited them again afterwards. The old man could tell at a glance that something must have happened between Kelly and me. Kelly has been spoiled by us. If she does something wrong, tell Auntie and she will teach her a lesson. I didn't want to tell the old lady about Kelly and Robert. I wanted to save her face. It's all my fault. It's my fault. Kelly's dad and Kelly's mom have been together for 3 years and have always loved me very much. He remembers what I like to eat and cares about me like my own father and mother. So no matter how excessive Kelly's actions were, I didn't want to disappoint the old man. Kelly's father patted my shoulder and spoke slowly. Kelly is ignorant, you don't have to cover up for her. I called her back, you two can have a good chat. Before I could react, I heard the door open. It's Kelly. She's back. When she saw me after entering the room, the surprise in her eyes was obvious. Why are you here? Just as I was about to speak, Kelly's father's voice rang out, Gavin is my son-in-law, I asked him to come. During the meal, Kelly's phone kept ringing. Kelly didn't have time to eat or reply to her parents. She just lowered her head and chatted on WeChat. Finally, the call came directly. Kelly picked up the phone. Not knowing what was said on the other end, she got up and walked out. I know it must be Robert. Kelly's father and Kelly's mother's faces turned ugly. Kelly's father slammed his chopsticks on the table, looking displeased. Kelly's mother and Kelly's father looked at each other, followed Kelly out. I couldn't just sit there, so I walked over. As expected, it was Robert who came. Standing right outside Kelly's house, still wearing her hospital gown. When they saw Robert, Kelly's father and mother's expressions changed immediately. Robert seemed not to notice the tense situation. Uncle and aunt, long time no see. Both elders had sullen faces and said nothing. Kelly saw that no one was paying attention to Robert, so she came over to smooth things over. Dad, Mom. Before he could finish his words, Kelly's mother interrupted him. Why did you ask him to come? The conflict between you and Gavin is because of him, right? Kelly's mother glared at Robert and then looked at Kelly. Kelly didn't reply, but looked at me. What did you say to my parents? We have been together for so long, what kind of person am I? Will I speak ill of her in front of others? Doesn't she understand me, or has she never thought about understanding me? Although I was completely disappointed, I still felt a little sad at this moment. I couldn't bear it any longer and looked at Kelly's father and mother. Uncle and aunt, Kelly and I have broken up completely and we won't be engaged. I'm leaving now. Bye. When I got into the car, I could still hear them arguing. But it has nothing to do with me. I haven't told my mother these things yet. As she has not been feeling well lately, I'm worried that she won't be able to handle the stimulation. But when it rains, it pours. My mother's condition worsened and she was admitted to the hospital. This month, I have been taking care of my mother in the hospital. The illness made my already frail mother even more haggard. She was lethargic most of the time. She seemed in good spirits that day. Gavin, how come you've lost so much weight? Just this one sentence made me use all my strength to suppress the urge to cry. I smiled and said that I have been working out recently. Although I look thin, I am actually stronger. Where's Kelly? Why haven't I seen her? My mother is very good to Kelly and knits sweaters and scarves for her every year. I was also worried that my aesthetic taste was not good, so I went online to check the popular clothing styles. Kelly has been very busy at work lately, always working overtime. She came to see you, but you were asleep at that time. My mother said with some regret, oh, why didn't you wake me up? I haven't seen Kelly for a long time. I couldn't bear it any longer and found an excuse to run out of the ward. I washed my face with cool water and forced myself to calm down. It wasn't until my mother's condition improved a little that I had time to deal with some work. Andy and I's law firm is fairly well known in the industry. He said the law firm recently received a big order. In the divorce case between a real estate tycoon and his ex-wife, there was a disagreement on the division of property. I've heard of this big guy, he's very playful. The original wife, Ms. Lee, has videos and photos of the boss cheating on her. Once the news spreads, big companies will definitely be affected. She asked for 70% of the property after the divorce. The boss disagreed but was afraid of the evidence in her hands. In fact, this lawsuit is best mediated privately. But neither the boss nor Ms. Lee would give in. Now I'm stuck here. It wasn't a big deal, but I didn't expect that the lawyer the boss hired would be Robert. I know he specializes in divorce cases abroad. It seems that he wants to use this lawsuit against a wealthy family to gain a foothold in the legal profession. At 11 o'clock in the evening, Andy and I finished our meal and prepared to go home. I found that I left my phone in the office. He turned around and drove back to the law firm. Unexpectedly, there was someone in my office. It's Kelly. She didn't turn on the lights and relied on the dim light from her cell phone, tinkering with something on my desk. I just stood behind her and watched her quietly. Andy reminded me when he knew Robert was the defendant's lawyer. But he said be careful of Robert, not Kelly. I clicked on the light. Kelly screamed and fell to the ground in fright. She looked away in panic, not daring to look me in the eye. I walked forward and checked the place she had just touched. It turned out to be a miniature eavesdropping device. It's hidden in the pot of green radish on my desk. This pot of green radish was given to me by her. You planted a bug in a lawyer's office? Do you have a brain? I just realized how ignorant she was. For Robert, she really dared to do anything. I'm not, Gavin, please listen to my explanation. She looked at me hesitantly. You were trying to eavesdrop on the divorce case between a real estate tycoon and his wife, right? For Robert? My tone cooled. Kelly bit her lower lip. This is the first case Robert took after returning to China. I just want to help him. I laughed out loud at her words. Help him? Then you come to harm me? What should I do if the conversation between me and my client is leaked? Do you know that once it is leaked, I may never be able to do this job again? My voice became louder and louder. I never thought that my sincerity over the years would be rewarded with her backstabbing. Get out, get out. My voice was a little hoarse. Kelly looked at me in surprise, as if she didn't expect me to say such a thing. She said sorry and ran out. At the hospital, my mother is in good condition. I don't know why, but my mom kept saying that she missed Kelly and wanted to see her. I couldn't refuse, so I said I would ask Kelly when she was free. Only then did my mother feel relieved. After my mom fell asleep, I called Kelly for the first time after the breakup at the end of the hospital corridor. The call was connected quickly and I explained my purpose directly. I just hope she can come and see my mother and give her peace of mind. But I didn't expect Kelly to hesitate. I could hear what she was discussing with someone on the other end of the phone, but she covered the microphone and I couldn't hear clearly. She spoke again, her tone somewhat embarrassed. I can go to see my aunt, but can you persuade Ms. Lee to divide the property equally? I didn't expect that at this time, Kelly would actually make a deal with me. And it was for Robert again. She actually took advantage of my mother when she was sick and in the hospital. Disappointment, sadness, helplessness, all these emotions surrounded me like a huge black fog. It makes me unable to breathe and can't breathe. Seeing that I didn't speak for a long time, Kelly was a little uneasy. I'm going to the hospital to see my aunt first. I'll talk about Ms. Lee later. I still heard Robert's voice before hanging up the phone. He complained to Kelly why she agreed so easily. Kelly came to the hospital anyway. Outside the ward, she even took my arm. I subconsciously wanted to pull my arm away, but she whispered, "Don't let Auntie see it." I restrained my expression, pretended to be intimate, and walked into the ward with her. When my mother saw us, she instantly perked up. But his face was thin and even his smile looked pale and weak. Kelly, I didn't expect my mom to be so sick. My eyes instantly turned red. My mother held Kelly's hand and told her to eat well. Advise her not to work so hard. He also said that I should take care of making money and Kelly should be responsible for spending the money. She also blamed me for not taking good care of Kelly and asked me to cherish her. My mother took out a square red box from under the pillow. He took out a jade bracelet from it. Kelly, I was going to give you this bracelet when you got engaged, but Gavin had to work that day, so I'm sorry you had to put it on. I'll put it on you now. my mother said and put the bracelet on Kelly's wrist. Then he intertwined my hands with Kelly's. I don't know if it was my illusion, but I felt Kelly's hand shaking a little. When she sent Kelly away from the hospital, she felt a little reluctant. She blamed me for not telling her about my mother's condition earlier. In the next few days, Kelly went to the hospital to see my mom every day. I was somewhat moved. After all, her concern for my mother is not fake. And she never mentioned again that I should go and persuade Misley to divide the property equally. But I didn't expect that I would see Robert in the hospital. As usual, Kelly came to visit my mom in the hospital. I wanted to tell her that I would try to communicate with Misley about the division of property during the divorce. But before I could open my mouth, I saw Robert. He looks like an elite. He was dressed in a suit and his hair was neatly done. Seeing that my expression was getting uglier, Kelly quickly explained that Robert would not go into the ward and would wait for her outside. Robert looked at me hypocritically. "Gavin, I'm worried about Auntie too. Since you're worried, I won't go in." I suppressed my anger and went into the ward with Kelly. My mom held Kelly's hand and talked to her, just like we used to. My mom said that Kelly and I look like a good match and that our future children will be good-looking. I resisted the urge to cry and made an excuse to leave the ward. When I opened the door, I saw Robert sitting on the bench at the door. I ignored him and went outside to get some fresh air. But he followed. He smiled and said he wanted to talk to me, with a look of contempt and no hiding of it. "I'm so grateful that you took care of Kelly for me these past few years. If it was someone else, I would really be worried." "Gavin, remember what I said back then? If I come back, she won't choose you. You said you've been a bootlicker for so many years, but in the end you still have nothing." Every word he said was heart-wrenching. I felt so suffocated inside that I felt like I would suffocate to death if I didn't vent. Thinking that we were in a hospital, I suppressed the anger in my heart. Seeing that I didn't say anything, he seemed to be deliberately provoking me. "Gavin, you know, Kelly was in my bed the day before you got engaged. Do you want to see her calling my name then?" After saying this, he shook the phone in his hand. I couldn't bear it any longer and punched him hard in the face. Suddenly his nose started bleeding and his glasses flew off. At this moment, a familiar voice sounded behind me. "Stop it. Gavin, stop it," Kelly exclaimed, running over and slapping me without hesitation. It wasn't until her palm fell that she reacted and kept apologizing to me. The slap didn't hurt, but it was very loud. It seemed to wake me up. It also shattered all my feelings for Kelly. I ignored them and prepared to go back to the ward. When I looked up, I saw Robert with a disdainful smile on his face, and his eyes were full of provocation when he looked at me. "My mother's condition is gradually improving, but I am worried about others taking care of her, so I keep running between the company and the hospital." Ms. Lee's divorce case was also at a critical stage, and sometimes I was so busy that I had no time to eat. Andy's sister Linda happened to be interning at the company. The girl was diligent and reliable at work, and she was also smart and well-behaved. Andy suggested that Linda go to the hospital to take care of my mother. "This way I can relax a little bit." Linda went to the hospital. Andy and I were outside the ward, watching my mother being coaxed by Linda into eating half a bowl of rice more than usual. The two of them were talking and laughing, and she liked him more than me, her own son. After they left, my mother and I praised her for a long time. Now I feel completely relieved to leave my mother in the care of Linda. Andy and Linda are definitely rich second generations, and I can't give her money to thank her. I said I would treat them to a meal when I was done with my work. Andy asked me to cook for him myself and said that my braised pork was the best in the world. Linda's eyes lit up when she heard the word braised pork. I couldn't help but laugh. These brother and sister have the same taste. Ms. Lee's property division case has been settled. After Andy and I's unremitting efforts, Ms. Lee obtained 80% of the property. It is 10% more than the original 70%. The real estate tycoon immediately fell out with Robert. It will be difficult for Robert to survive in this circle now. Ms. Lee was very happy and introduced several big clients to us. Andy and I gave red envelopes to all employees in the law firm. My mother has also been discharged from the hospital. She doesn't want to live with me and still wants to live in the old house. The nanny who had been taking care of my mother also came back from my daughter's house. Continued to take care of my mother. In the evening, Andy and Linda came to my house for dinner. I was busy in the kitchen and Linda was helping me. I asked her to take a rest, but she refused. It was always fun to talk to her and she kept telling me jokes. Andy changed into home clothes and lay on the sofa playing games like a big boss. From time to time, he would ask me and Linda to pour water for him to wash the fruit. While eating, Andy and Linda praised the food as they ate. I'm almost praised as a great chef. At this time, the phone rang and there were several WeChat messages. I clicked on it and saw it was Robert. He sent me a lot of photos of him and Kelly to this pervert. All of them were taken on the bed. Andy saw that I looked strange and quickly glanced at my phone. He couldn't help but curse. Andy asked me if I still cared about Kelly. It was then that I realized that what made me angry was Robert's behavior. It's not because the person in it is Kelly. It seems that after repeated disappointments, I have really given up on Kelly. Andy and I are going on a business trip abroad, and Linda wants to go with us at her own expense. I have no objection. I already owe the little girl a favor. We were busy for half a month abroad and had fun for another half a month. At the beginning, I was still worried about my mother, so I posted several videos a day. My mom is starting to get annoyed with me. She said she hadn't finished watching a musical, so I sent her 2 videos to disturb her. She sent a video directly to Linda, saying that she wanted some freedom and asked Linda to watch me and stop bothering her. I looked at the old lady and Linda complaining about me, but I felt warm in my heart. A month later, the 3 of us returned home. I heard that Kelly's father was hospitalized. Andy and I rushed to the hospital. It's only been a few months since I last saw them, but I feel like Kelly's dad and Kelly's mom have aged 10 years. When she saw me, Kelly's mother couldn't stop crying. Daily update pushpin WeChat. It turns out that Kelly is pregnant. The 2 elders had no choice but to accept Robert. Robert felt that there was no money to be made in the legal profession, so he started his own business, a media company. But he has high expectations but lacks the skills, and has no channels or connections. Anti-disconnection speed up pushpin VX Japanese symbol for beginner, D, ST, Yi, 21. So he tricked Kelly into giving him all her savings. In the end, the house was mortgaged. But unexpectedly, Robert didn't actually start a business and was just deceiving Kelly. He didn't know when he became addicted to gambling. He lost Kelly's house and car. Even the villa where the couple lived before was mortgaged by Robert. When Kelly went home to tell her parents about these things, Robert followed her home. At first, he patiently coaxed Kelly to ask her parents to borrow some money. Kelly got angry and scolded Robert. Robert stopped pretending and hit Kelly. Kelly fell and miscarried. When Kelly's father saw his daughter being beaten, he rushed over to argue with Robert. Robert was so desperate after losing everything that he only cared about the money and not the people. Kelly's father was pushed down, and his head hit the corner of the table, causing him to faint on the spot. Kelly is also hospitalized in this hospital now. Even if it's not for Kelly, I can't ignore Kelly's father and Kelly's mother. The mortgaged properties cannot be recovered. After all, it was voluntary at the time. But Robert's assault was not over yet. My parents once followed my advice and put part of their funds into a fixed deposit. So I still have some savings. I helped them move to a new house. Although it is not big, the environment is good and the neighbors are all highly educated. The security in the community is strict, so it is not easy for Robert to go in and cause trouble again. Kelly's father is in good health and has been discharged from the hospital. Kelly's physical recovery is good, but her mental state is not very good. Just when I was about to sue Robert, something happened to Robert. In order to defraud money, he pretended to be single and went on blind dates to get married. After deceiving a few people with his appearance, he set his sights on a wealthy woman whose husband had died. I didn't expect that the other party was also a liar and a gang. He was tricked and fell for it, but he couldn't pay out. The 2 sides argued and finally fought. He accidentally beat the other man into a vegetable. All his fortune was used to pay the compensation, and he himself went into work on a sewing machine. God will punish the wicked. Andy and I both comforted Kelly's father and Kelly's mother, saying that at least Kelly and Robert did not get married. Otherwise, you might be implicated. Life returned to normal. It's just that Kelly's dad and Kelly's mom often call me and ask me to go to their house for dinner. I refused them all. Andy said Kelly must be regretting it. I remembered my goodness again. I smiled and didn't answer. From then on, every time Andy and I had dinner, Linda would follow us. Just no more jokes. But tell some news. What about a cheating wife who returns home only to cheat her husband out of all his money? A wife conspired with her lover to kill her husband and hide the man in the refrigerator. What about the prodigal son who returns is never worth more than gold, but a fraudster, etc.? Andy and I trembled and felt terrified when we heard it. Linda, who was sitting next to him, suddenly said, "Brother Gavin, a good horse never turns back, you have to remember that." A serious look on his face. Actually, I know what she means. The little girl liked it frankly and openly, and even as a grown man I understood it. It's just that I don't think I'm ready to start a new relationship. Kelly started looking for me personally. Show up in my office every day. Send me lunch, afternoon tea, an umbrella on rainy days, and mung bean soup on hot days. I rejected her explicitly. Every time I rejected her, she looked at me with tears in her eyes and said she understood. Then it continued to appear before my eyes the next day. And the smile on Linda's face became less and less. In the morning Andy said Linda was sick and asked for leave today. Without Linda, I feel like something is missing. My mother called me and said that Linda visited her yesterday and bought her a lot of things. I also put a label on it to tell her how to use it, and when I left, I said I might not have the chance to see her again. When Linda got on the car, my mother saw her secretly wiping away tears. My mom asked me what happened to Linda. After hearing this, I was extremely worried and immediately drove to Linda's house. It was only then that I realized that I had fallen in love with Linda. Andy was with me and he said Linda was in the room and had not eaten or drunk since yesterday, like she was meditating. I glared at him, still joking at this time. The moment she saw me, Linda was surprised. She stared at me with her red eyes and pinched her face. "Gavin, is that you?" The whole room smelled of alcohol. The girl didn't eat well, but drank a lot of alcohol. Seeing her soft and confused, my heart softened. I touched her head and said softly, "It's me." She hugged me and couldn't hold back her tears any longer. As if I had suffered a great injustice. I hugged her and comforted her with heartache. I ate with her and coaxed her to sleep before I left the room. When I turned around, I saw Linda's father, Linda's mother, and Andy looking at me with anti-smiles on their faces. I'm with Linda. But Kelly still didn't give up and would still come to the law firm to find me. My mom also knew about these things and knew why Kelly canceled the engagement. Kelly went to see my mother, hoping that my mother could help her persuade me. My mother still couldn't bear to say anything to Kelly, so she could only persuade her to let it go. Linda and I have a very good relationship. It's just that sometimes when she sees Kelly looking for me, she feels insecure. I don't want to make Linda sad. So I took the initiative to make an appointment with Kelly. I expressed my thoughts directly and told Kelly that I already had a girlfriend. The light in Kelly's eyes died instantly. She wanted to hold my hand, but I avoided her. "Gavin, I really know I was wrong. Can you give me another chance?" I didn't want to argue anymore. "Kelly, we are done. I love my girlfriend very much and I won't do anything to let her down. I hope you won't come to me again." These words seemed to hurt her, and she froze where she was. I left without looking back. Only Kelly was left behind, crying hysterically and shouting my name. I passed a dessert shop while driving home. I remembered that this shop had Linda's favorite cakes. I got off the car and bought a few servings. I could even imagine Linda eating and complaining about getting fat again. I couldn't help but laugh. I proposed to Linda. At an open-air bar. I invited elders from both sides, as well as colleagues and friends, and asked Andy to help me contact Linda's childhood friend whom she hadn't seen for many years. Linda thought it was a dinner party with colleagues. When I took out the diamond ring, she was surprised and happy. Cry like a tearful person. Finally, she did not forget to remind everyone to use beauty filters when taking photos of her. "It's so cute, I feel like I found a treasure." My mom and Linda's mom hit it off right away. They both like shopping and making their own clothes. We study Cheongsam wedding dresses together almost every day. They wanted to make a wedding dress for Linda by themselves. At 2 o'clock in the morning, I received a call from Kelly's father and Kelly's mother. Kelly slit her wrists. I hesitated and finally told my parents that I had a girlfriend. But Kelly's father and Kelly's mother cried and begged me to go see Kelly, and I really couldn't bear to refuse the old people's begging. I promised them. I told Linda the truth and she said she believed me. I went to Linda's house to pick up Andy and went to the hospital with me. Seeing me, Kelly forced herself to sit up and asked, "Gavin, Do you still have me in your heart? Kelly's mother turned her back and wiped away her tears. Gavin, are you really going to marry someone else? You lied to me, didn't you? I feel a little tired. Why didn't I cherish it at the beginning? Why is it endless now? Kelly, please be good and don't do anything to hurt yourself in the future. And think about your parents too. I'm really getting married. Kelly cried and shook her head and said it was impossible. She said how could I marry someone else when I loved her so much? Andy couldn't stand it anymore, and yelled, Kelly. How can you still be so interesting? You were not loyal to Gavin when you were with him, and you were hanging out with that idiot Robert. Do you think we don't know? Robert sent all your intimate photos to Gavin. Why are you crying now? What's the point? Can you please let him go? From college till now, he has done so many stupid things for you. Don't you know? If you have any conscience, stop bothering him. Kelly was stunned. She didn't expect Robert to do such a despicable thing. Finally, I advised Kelly to take good care of herself for her parents' sake. They are old and cannot withstand repeated blows. It was already daybreak when we left the hospital. Andy suddenly found that Linda's car was following us. He asked me to stop the car so he could ask Linda if she was playing detective in front of the two of us. I stopped him. In fact, I saw her following my car when I set out from Linda's family. I slowed down the car on purpose for fear that she would lose me. I understand her, after all, I am here to see my ex. After dating Linda for a year, we got married. She walked towards me in her wedding dress, and at that moment I felt like I owned the world. After the ceremony, I accompanied Linda to change clothes. Andy said Kelly is here. I haven't heard this name for a long time. I don't understand what she is doing here. A friend helped block the front door, so Kelly couldn't get in. She climbed over the wall, covered in mud and looking very miserable. Linda asked me quietly if I needed her to step aside. I held her hand tightly and smiled at her. You are my wife, why are you avoiding me? Kelly's eyes were red as she stared blankly at Linda and I holding hands. Thank you for coming to my wife and I's wedding. I said with a smile and left with Linda. Without a trace of emotion, no more resentment or love. Kelly, who was always proud, knelt on the ground and cried, begging me to look at her again. His voice was trembling and his tone was full of begging. Linda felt a little bit reluctant and wanted to help her up, but I held her back and signaled Andy to help Kelly up. Kelly raised her hand, holding the ring she had thrown away. She looked sad and finally said, I'm sorry, Gavin. I politely replied, it's all over, be well. Then he left with Linda. I never have any lingering feelings, nor do I get involved with my ex. This is the most basic respect for the incumbent. The past is finally over, and cherishing the present is the most important thing. Fortunately, I finally met the person who will always choose me unwaveringly.